Hey, 80s Nation, I know it's a year away, but the 80s cruise is 92% sold out. Time is running out for you to get your cabin. Don't miss the ship that's going to include performances by The Human League, 38 Special, Berlin to Carlisle, Morris Day and the Time, ABC, Dire Straits Legacy, Modern English, Jack Russell's Great White, John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band, A Flock of Seagulls, The Alarm, The Sugar Hill Gang, John Parr, Johnny Hates Jazz. And, of course, the entire event is hosted by the original MTV VJs Mark, Alan, and Nina. Brad and I will be there hosting trivia and recording live podcasts. You can join us. Go to www.the80scruise.com right now and use the promo code STUCK when booking to get $200 cabin credit. That's the code STUCK for first-time guests for $200 cabin credit. Can't wait to meet you and cruise with you March 2022 on the Royal Caribbean Mariner of the Seas. Now on with the show.
Travel back in time to the 80s, reliving the laughter. The heroes.
Pick up your phone and call the professionals. Go, Ghostbusters.
And the honesty.
What's up, Norm? My nipples. It's freezing out there.
Because just like you, we're stuck in the 80s.
Sure, it's not 1985 right now, but who knows what tomorrow will bring.
Hey, welcome to Stuck in the 80s. It's your old pal Spearsy.
And Brad in L.A.
And today we commence our annual tribute to Valentine's Day, VD Day as I like to say, with a darker twist. It's our tribute to unrequited love in the 80s.
I'm not going to live through another year of finding your poorly written unmailed love scratchings around this house.
Stuck in the 80s is now listener-supported via Patreon. Join us for VIP Zoom happy hours and more when you join at patreon.com/stuckintheeighties-podcast. Wait, VD Day? Hang on a second. It's STD now. We don't do VD anymore.
I defer to you as the expert. I don't know.
Well, I just read a lot of medical journals, Steve. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
When did they change that? Did they change that in the 80s? Or was that a 90s thing?
I feel like that was a 90s thing, but I don't know.
Yeah. The 90s is all about spin doctors and STDs.
All I know is that my knowledge of these things remains theoretical, for which I am grateful.
Me too.
Thank you, Life Choices.
Speaking of getting choices right, every year we try to approach Valentine's Day with some sort of themed show, and we've had duets, our favorite love movies. We've had an anti-love podcast, I think, in the early days, and this year it was suggested to us that we might try giving a nod to unrequited love in the 80s, mainly in the area of movies.
It's a little something that I think everyone's familiar with, right? I mean,
sure. Everyone had a crush in high school on someone that didn't pan out. I mean, that's
just part of the human condition.
And I don't think it's something unique to the 80s. But movies in the 80s surely, had their fill of them. But they're not the only ones. If you go back, and what we're talking about here, if you're sitting here kind of like scratching your head, or you're about to turn on a different podcast, who would blame you? But the point being, these are movies where our hero, or sometimes even our villain, doesn't get the guy or the girl at the end of the movie, He or she goes home alone.
Right.
And there's plenty of examples of great movies about unrequited love throughout time. Casablanca, Dr. Zhivago, Annie Hall, all great movies.
Oh, Casablanca. So good. I kind of want to... Let's just stop the podcast right now and go watch Casablanca.
Because, my dear Ricky, I suspect that under that cynical shell, You're at heart a sentimentalist. Oh, laugh if you will, but I happen to be familiar with your record.
Well, do you remember the first time you saw it? I mean, I don't think I saw it until maybe about 20 years ago.
Yeah, I would say similar. I didn't see it until I was in my mid-20s at least, and I was really surprised at what it was and how much I enjoyed it. Yeah. It's hilarious. It is a really funny movie. It may not be a comedy per se, but there are moments in it that are just hysterical.
How can you close me up? On what ground?
I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in here.
You're winning, sir.
Oh, thank you very much.
But it's dripping. It's dripping with unrequited love.
Oh, yeah. It's the engine in the car that makes the movie go.
Right. Dr. Zhivago I saw a few years ago. In fact, I think it took me a few years just to finish it. The thing is like...
that's from a different era of movie making. Aren't there 3 intermissions in Dr. Zhivago?
It just seems like there should have been. Annie Hall obviously being much, much closer to the 80s and the late 70s, Woody Allen. But... we're going to talk about some of our favorite unrequited love movies in the 80s. We're gonna name some that some of our patrons suggested, and then we'll talk a little bit about a few songs about unrequited love, and maybe we'll spin some stories in between. Maybe we won't.
You just never know.
Maybe Brad and I will fight each other at one point over.
You're wrong, Spearsy.
I don't think we're wrong on these ones. I think these are...
I was just getting it out of my system.
Right down, right across the plate. Brad, why don't you get things started with, I think, the movie that we all think about when we think about unrequited love.
Okay, yeah. I think for 80s fans, this character comes leaping to the front of mind when you talk about, the guy that doesn't get the girl or the girl that doesn't get the guy. In this case, it's a guy. It's John Cryer. It's right there in his last name. It's Ducky in Pretty in Pink.
You really pissed me off, because they shit all over everybody, including you. I can't believe you'd be this stupid.
Who's shitting on me? I'm not going to let anybody shit on me.
He's going to use your ass and throw you away. God, I would have died for you.
So what am I supposed to do? He asked me out and I like him. If I hate him because he's got money, just listen to me. If I hate him because he's got money, that's the exact same thing as them hating us because we don't. Do you understand?
You can't do this and respect yourself. You can't.
Well, I'll make that decision, all right?
Sure, you can do what you want.
You're talking like that just because I'm going out with Blaine.
Blaine? His name is Blaine? Oh, that's a major appliance. That's not a name.
Just because I'm going out with Blaine doesn't mean I can't be friends with you. I mean, it doesn't change the way I feel about you.
Oh, that's very nice. I'm glad. Here's the point, Annie. I'm not particularly concerned with whether or not you like me. Because I live to like you, and I can't like you anymore.
Okay, that's a little sad. Ducky, who, this role, would you say that this is the John Cryer role?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's hard for me to make a case for 2.5 Men.
Well, I mean, he made a lot of money, but it's, no, it's Ducky. I mean, I think he probably walks down the street and probably still people yell lines at him.
I actually have a friend who considers John Cryer to be his nemesis, so he's obviously arrived.
Here's what's interesting. So Pretty in Pink comes out in 1986, and essentially it's like a love triangle. I mean,
right.
Ducky loves Andy, Andy loves Blaine, even though he's named after a major appliance.
Blaine loves white sails.
Is the Ducky plot a side plot? Not really. I think it's important to maintaining the whole plot of the movie.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what puts pressure on the relationship to some extent.
And what's interesting too is, and there's this, they kind of throw this line in towards the end where Andrew McCarthy goes to James Spader, who plays the villainous Steph, and says, oh, I get it. You're into Andy too, but she thinks you're shit. And I'm like, whoa, so there's another unrequited love.
Yeah, you get a twofer on this one.
Yeah.
Although James Spader is pretty much an asshole in this movie.
Yeah, but he's such a good asshole.
Oh, he plays it just. Oh, we all knew that guy. Some of us might have been that guy. I don't know.
I hope I wasn't. But
yeah, me too.
My hair never looked that good. But so here's what I think is interesting. So I guess there's famously 2 endings of this movie.
Right.
There's one where Ducky and Andy, the movie ends with them dancing together at prom. Like, it's not known. Do they become a couple? We don't know.
Is it we're friends, but I'm willing to be seen in public with you at this event?
Right. So that was the original intended ending. I think, now I'm really trying to rack my brain. I want to say Molly Ringwald objected and said no. In real life, she would end up with Andrew McCarthy. So
I thought the screenings, the audiences were like, "This is the worst ending ever."
Yeah. Well. So they reshot it, and so Andy and Blaine end up together. And just to throw Ducky a bone, the movie gets changed so that a cute blonde, played by Christy Swanson, ends up giving Ducky the the come hither look, and all is well at this point. I would rate the unrequited love aspect of this so unsatisfactory that John Hughes was basically forced to write some kind of wonderful to fix things.
Do you think it took him a long time to write some kind of wonderful?
All he had to do is
Control H, find Andy, replace.
Yeah, with Eric Stoltz. Done. Turn it in, cash a check. So no, but it is obviously one of the best unrequited love stories in the 80s. However,
that said,
I have a movie that I love from 1987 that I think does it even better. I'm talking about the great Albert Brooks playing Aaron in Broadcast News.
Hey, Aaron! I think you're the devil!
You know I'm not!
How?
Because I think we have the kind of friendship where if I were the devil, you'd be the only one I would tell.
Well, you were awfully quick to run after Tom's help when
All right,
you
fine!
wanted help.
Yes! And if things had gone well for me tonight, then I probably wouldn't be saying any of this. I grant you everything. But give me this. He personifies everything that you've been fighting against. And I'm in love with you. How do you like that? I buried the lead.
Now, 1987 was the year that, for some bizarre reason, I saw every movie that was nominated for an Oscar for Best Picture. I think it was the only year I've ever accomplished that.
Okay.
So I know this movie well. But what I love about it so much is that you've got a great cast. You've got Albert Brooks playing. Albert Brooks plays a TV reporter who's a genius, very smart, probably smarter than the average, very much smarter than the average TV reporter of any generation. And he's got the hots for his producer, Jane, played by the great Holly Hunter, who unfortunately has fallen for the doofus, handsome reporter instead. And
yeah, the pretty face who can read a teleprompter and looks good on camera.
Which is probably the state of broadcast news today still. But as we heard from that scene, there's that great line where he finally tells her, that he loves her. And, and the look on her face is one of surprise, contempt, and shock all boiled into one stinging wince, I think is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, I thought that might happen, and now you put it out there into the actual air, and I have to address it. We could have just kept ignoring it, but no, you had to look. There's an elephant in this room.
So, but in the end, if you haven't seen the movie, you should. By the way, I think it's on. It's streaming somewhere. I know because I saw it just the other night. And I was about to play it, and I thought no, because I get upset, but.
Well, and if you're a real glutton for punishment, you could go back and listen to our show 436.
Oh, is that what it was?
We talk about Moonstruck versus Broadcast News.
Anyway, in the end, it works out fine because nobody ends up with Jane. And so there's some poetic justice. So I would rate the unrequited love on this one as just a poetic justice / melancholy / we're all good.
In other words, I think we're all okay.
Who the hell cares what you think?
Yeah, I think Albert Brooks goes back to his place, pours himself a big glass of Chardonnay, gets a bubble bath going, and by the time he wakes up the next morning, it's all good.
You had me until bubble bath. I don't see Albert Brooks ever taking a bubble bath.
Well, it's kind of why that's part of the scene because it's funny.
Okay.
That's comedy, Steve. Is when it's a little bit unexpected,
Okay. Why don't you give me something that's better than that then?
Okay, well, better. I don't know. It's definitely different. This one we talked about, again, I keep going back to old shows. We talked about this. This is a character I talked about at some length on show 279 a million years ago when I had been on the show for like 5 episodes and I was still basically freaking out every time I turned on the microphone. Now I just freak out all the time. And that's my favorite Anthony Michael Hall character. It's Farmer Ted.
Come on, what's the problem here? I'm a boy. You're a girl. Is there anything wrong with me trying to put together some kind of relationship between us? Okay, look, I know you have to go. Just answer me one question.
Yes, you're a total
It's not the question. Am I turning you on?
16 Candles. I like this pick.
Yeah. I mean, there's unrequited love, left, right, center, up, down, side, all over the place in this movie. The whole thing. Again, we got a triangle here going. We got Samantha. Again, Molly Ringwald. She's always in the mix here. Going after Jake. You got Farmer Ted going after Samantha. And you got Jake loaning Farmer Ted his dad's car and his girlfriend, which is seriously problematic. But we're not going to talk about that right now. And Farmer Ted doesn't get the girl, but he does get her underwear.
Yeah.
Let me just point that out. So this is not the worst outcome for him, but you know, it's unrequited for sure. And I will recap very briefly my theory about Farmer Ted. My theory about Farmer Ted is Farmer Ted gets more tail than he can handle in college.
Okay.
I seriously think that's true because, like, and here's why I say that. So, he is completely he's not afraid to ask for what he wants. Yeah. Right? He just goes up to the girl. He's primed and ready. Like, reject me, fine, no problem. I'm just going to keep coming. And then the scene where he's making Jake and himself a cocktail. Watch that scene. No freshman in high school knows how to make drinks like that. He's a smooth motherfucker. Yeah, if he can keep from getting trapped underneath, plastic coffee tables, he'll be just fine.
Right. Okay,
he's gonna be just fine.
I forgot about the cocktail scene. That definitely makes it happen. Can I ask a completely related and yet unrelated question at this point? Because you mentioned it, that he gets her underwear. The whole getting the underwear thing is a recurring thing in 80s movies. Like I think of the movie Class. Andrew McCarthy actually gets Rob Lowe's mom's pants, not knowing it was his mom, but it's hanging on the moose's antlers, if you recall it at some point.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
that was. I mean, was that really a thing? I mean, did we really covet getting a pair of girls' underpants as a souvenir or something? I don't remember that as a thing.
It wasn't really on my radar. No, that wasn't really the. That wasn't really the prime objective, if you will.
No, but I mean, it seemed like Hollywood had a thing about that.
Yeah, I mean, this is like look, everyone's wearing neon. Sometimes things happen in movies that maybe don't represent reality quite correctly.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. If you're out there and stuck in A's Land and that was your thing.
Were you like nailing them up like, Willie Mays Hayes nails his gloves up on the wall, then we need to talk.
Yeah.
And we need therapy,
I want to hear the story. Is what I want to hear. I want to get a listener mailbag submission on that.
Do we want to hear the story, Steve? Do we?
Well, I don't necessarily want to repeat it. I just want to
write them down. Yeah. I don't know if I want to talk them through.
There's a lot. I wouldn't say there's a lot of emails that we get that we don't read, but there's some.
No, we read them. We just don't read them on the air.
We read everything people send us. It's just we don't read them all on the air. And some of them are. Some of them actually say, "Do not read this on the air."
Yeah, please. Yeah, and sometimes we check, like, "Hey, this is pretty heavy duty stuff. Do you mind?" And of course, if you say no, then we'll read it anyway. No, we won't.
No,
that's not how we roll.
But
that's not the way we do things around here. But is this sad, Steve?
Is it sad? No,
it isn't. Farmer Ted's fine. He slept with the prom queen.
Yeah,
he's
in
good.
The church parking lot, I guess. Or
oh yeah, because location matters. I mean, we're not buying a house.
Yeah, that's a good point. I have a theory here.
Oh, I love this. Come on.
It seems like unrequited love is a more of a male phenomenon in 80s movies.
Well, we could talk about the problems with the Hollywood creating female characters that do anything other than talk to other female characters about men, but that's on our other podcast.
The one that no one listens to. The one that
the Bechdel test in the
one
80s
only has 3 female listeners. But there is a movie where there is an angle like that, but it's not the main plot. And so stick with me here as I explain my love of Daphne Zuniga in the 1985 movie Vision Quest.
Hey, Swain. Okay, I'm going to give it to you straight. I think I love you. Oh, Jesus.
Okay, stay with me here. I know that everyone's trying to think, Daphne Zuniga was in Vision Quest? Yes. She plays she plays the high school newspaper editor who has the crush on Loudon Swain. Great character name, by the way.
Oh, it really is good.
Played by Matthew Modine. So this is another unrequited love movie in the sense that Loudon's got the hots for an older woman staying in the family house, played by the very smoky Linda Fiorentino.
Oof, yeah, who can blame that guy?
And yes, they do end up briefly together, but she leaves at the end. So is it unrequited, requited? I don't know how to rank that. But for me, though, the real sad injustice is that Daphne Zuniga, whose character's name escapes me, I don't know that it's really important, at one point finally works up the courage to tell Matthew Modine to his face, that she loves him. And what does he do? He passes out because he's been working out so much. He's probably got some sort of iron deficiency. So I'm not a medical expert.
Wrestlers, seriously, what do you think?
So a brief shining moment for women lusting after someone that she doesn't probably end up with. But
it's possible, Steve, and I only have a male perspective to share here, but it's possible that we men are just more like clueless and entertaining in our unrequited love pursuits.
You think that's possible?
Yeah,
it's probable.
I don't want to paint us all with the big old tarry brush, but you're probably right.
I asked
I
asked future wife about my theory last night, and she said I asked her if she had a problem with the fact that women are underrepresented in the unrequited love formula, and she said no, she had no problem with that whatsoever. It was
because we're smarter than that.
She thought it was thoroughly just that it should be the men who are aggravated in that regard. So,
well, we're just not that clever, ladies.
So,
not that
in
clever.
the end, how important is the unrequited love of Vision Quest? Who knows? He won the match. That's all anyone cares about. When the movie's over, no one's scanning the crowd to see where Daphne sits.
No one's like, does she take him out for a pizza
or something?
I think you're dehydrated.
Nah, I'm the victim of a screwed-up nitrogen balance. Plus, I think I've contracted priapism.
What's priapism?
Well, that's a disease of constant erection. I read about it in my rare diseases book.
There's one movie that obviously everyone at home is probably screaming about at some point now and saying, I can't believe they haven't mentioned. Okay. Brad, what movie am I talking about?
You're talking about The Last American Virgin.
Cue the music.
I did my best, but I guess my best wasn't good enough. 'Cause here we are.
This is the Casablanca of the 80s.
I'm shocked to find sex going on here.
There's no dialogue for the last 4 minutes of the movie. It's poor Gary, who has had the hots for Karen, played by the lovely Diane Franklin, for the entire movie. But his dick friend Rick gets to her first. He dumps her because she's pregnant. Gary pays for the abortion. Finally thinks that he's getting his dream.
Sells his stereo.
Yeah, sells his stereo, I think, to do that, right?
Yeah.
And only to come to the party at the end of the movie and see Karen and Rick back together again. Nobody says a word. There's no line for us to use here. He just...
What is there to say? What could you, write some dialogue for that.
You can't.
You can't. You don't need to. It's all there. And credit to these 3 actors because they communicate everything.
They did. He drives away.
The look
and the credits roll.
The look on his face.
And that's it.
When he opens the kitchen door, I don't know how he did. Is he thinking about that time he watched his dog get run over by a car or something? I don't know, because it's pretty believable. It's just like, oh
yeah. It's the obligatory gif whenever someone's feeling sad. It's like, oh, give them the Gary gif.
Hey, don't worry. It's gonna be all right.
Anyway, we weren't the only ones who had some ideas for unrequited love movies. Here's some of the suggestions we had from our patrons. Chase Squires, our friend Chase down in Ecuador, says, quote, 2 movies come to mind. Tom Hanks in Big, where I guess it's the girl who doesn't get the kid, which is a bit weird, granted.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, she's, some people get, you've heard of getting blocked. She got Zoltan blocked.
Yeah, get that on a t-shirt. Send it to me.
I'll wear that on the cruise. That's the only place
people
will understand what the heck you're talking about.
And the other movie he said was St. Elmo's Fire, where nobody gets anybody. So that's nice.
Somebody made a point. Can we talk about the last show real quick? I got a text from Alexi Lawless about our last show, pointing out that isn't St. Elmo's Fire really the Cobra Kai treatment of Breakfast Club?
Oh.
And I was like, drop the mic. Dang.
Well, no, Anthony Michael Hall.
But
yes.
But it's that next phase in life,
it
right?
is.
And they're it's like unrequited adulthood. It's not unrequited love. They're like they haven't figured out how to be grown-ups yet. Oh my gosh, that's why I hate that movie.
I remember seeing that movie and it really screwed me up at the time because I think it was I just finished maybe like my first semester of college and something, and you're just kind of,
and you're like, this is what's coming, this is what's waiting for me, this is ridiculous.
I remember being really, really depressed, and now I'm even more depressed when I realize that nobody gets anybody. So, Lynn with 3 N's in Nebraska, he had an idea. Tootsie. He says that Dustin Hoffman comes up short in his pursuit of Jessica Lange when his real gender is revealed. Does it though? I mean, I thought at the end of the movie that I saw them walking together down the street. I mean, I don't know.
That's exactly right. She does at least engage in conversation with him.
If anything,
I mean, it's a start. So you're saying there's a chance. Basically, there's the unrequited guy love line of everything ever. So you're saying if I was the last man on earth, there's a possibility.
If anything, I think it's her dad who comes up short, but that's okay. Shan Nichols had an idea. He said, what about Better Off Dead and Ricky?
Monique, this is Ricky. Ricky, this is Monique, the French foreign exchange student who'll be staying with us.
Wow.
Ooh, I like that. It's not a main character, but he does. Well, is he chasing after?
Is it
Monique, or is his mom chasing after Monique?
I don't know.
Ooh, that gets even weirder.
But he's got a point there. That's a good one. There's some Close But No Cigar movies, too, that I would say need to be talked about, if only to mention their titles. We obviously mentioned Some Kind of Wonderful.
Which is unrequited right up until the closing credits are about to roll, and he smooches her again. The first smooch in the garage is way better. But this is when it all becomes requited.
Secret Admirer was the same way. The ending of the movie undoes it. Roxanne, Spit Valve McGee, our friend Spit Valve, suggested that one.
It's a good one. Again, it's all unrequited right up until it isn't, which is kind of the way probably every relationship is when it gets started, right?
2 other movies that I think we could have talked about, but no one's really seen them except for me and Alexi Lawless, for that matter. Gregory's Girl, which was a soccer movie set in the early 80s in Scotland, and then The Rachel Papers, which had Ione Skye in it. But definitely worth. I have Rachel Papers on DVD, oddly enough, but not Gregory's Girl. I want to say Gregory's Girl was on HBO all the time, like in the mid.
It was in the 80s. Yeah.
So.
Fact check Spearsy.
I tried to write up a synopsis of it, but 40 years later, the ending is still too bizarre for me to actually put into words. So,
and then he got called offside, and the keeper was out of his area.
Yeah. Well, he ends up with 4 dates in the final scene, and it just doesn't really make much sense to me. But it was a good movie about soccer for up until then.
Right, you all know what I'm looking for: a goal scorer. And that requires 2 basic skills: ball control, shooting accuracy, and the ability to read the game. 3 things. So, this trial will allow me to assess these two Three basic aspects of your skills, right?
We mentioned songs about unrequited love, and I think the 80s is full of them. I mean,
every decade is.
Maybe one of the most anthemic songs of the 80s, Jesse's Girl by Rick Springfield, is like the template for a song about unrequited love.
Yeah. the gold standard of lusting after somebody you can't have.
Can't Fight This Feeling by REO Speedwagon, which their biggest.
Do we have to talk about the Oars song again?
I Hate Myself for Loving You by Joan Jett, obviously.
Okay.
Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic by The Police is considered an unrequited love song.
I like that just because it's so damn upbeat while being such a downbeat topic.
But there's one song that someone suggested and I had never heard of, and so I looked into it a little bit today. It's this song called The Saturday Boy by Billy Bragg.
The times we were close, with far and few between. In the darkness of the dances in the school canteen, did she close her eyes as I did when we held each other tight? And la 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 means I love you.
Billy Bragg is probably one of those names where, I don't know, maybe like a few dozen of our listeners kind of know who we're talking about.
You recognize it, but you're like, wait, was he in Time Bandits, or did he sing on, or did he sing on We Are the World? I can't quite place it.
He was an English singer, songwriter, and an activist. He is still around today, still performs. Nice long career that started in the late 70s. But he wrote this song for his 1984 album called Brewing Up with Billy Bragg. And it's a song about early adolescence when unrequited love is just probably at its worst.
What a fantastic time that is. Oh.
And I remember music really screwed me up back then.
Man, you were a ripe target for those
I remember Styx used to have a song called First Time, and it was off of their Cornerstone album, and that was like 1979, I think. And it's all about first love. And I remember, and I think that's when I had my first girlfriend-ish, around that sort of maybe time. And I just remember it was like, oh, too much. Like, Yeah.
Dilute that.
Yeah.
Come on.
Can't you just give me a Kiss song that just singing about my dick instead?
Take your pick.
But The Saturday Boy is interesting. It's only about 3 minutes long. It has 36 lines of lyrics, and there's no chorus. And it's just a story with a narrator remembering the very start of his teenage years. And Medium.com has this amazing interview by Michael Hahn with Billy Bragg talking about his school years, I guess, which was a time when he was greatly bullied, but also, encountering love for the first time. And Billy said about this song, I was just trying to jog my way through school, trying to avoid the bullies, trying to ingratiate myself with the cool kids, trying to make any desperate connection with the pretty girls in our class, but I never really did.
Dang, Billy, talk to me. Where were you when I was in middle school?
I needed this song.
Oh, you were probably in middle school too.
There's some lyrics at the end of the song that I think, like when I read this the first time, I was like, oh my God. The lyrics at the end of the song are, in the end, it took me a dictionary to find out the meaning of unrequited, while she was giving herself for free at a party to which I was never invited. And just,
oh my gosh! I need a minute here. Can we stop the podcast for a little bit? Holy crap! That's really well said.
It's an interesting. Then the song ends on a trumpet solo. I don't.
All the best songs do. Just ask Maynard Ferguson.
Yeah. But anyway, check it out.
Or Miles Davis.
We'll put a link to it in the show notes. But Billy Bragg, what the Saturday Boy means about it. Those words I don't even think appear in the song. It's just one of those.
I I feel like I need to go and listen to this song. I don't know if I've told this story. I feel like I have told this, at least some of this story on the podcast. But when when I was in seventh grade, when I was in seventh grade, I had a big crush on this girl that I was in English class with.
Yeah.
Right, she sat right in front of me, and I was just so completely enamored of her. Anything she did, if she she didn't punch me when she walked by me, she must like me too. So at some point, in my great seventh grade hero mode, I'm like, oh, I could talk to her, or I could write a note and slip that note in her locker or something. And, do you want to be my girlfriend? Of course, the note comes back with magic marker, no, written on it. She just slams it on the desk. And I'm like, oh, well, okay. I guess that's not
That's a maybe?
Yeah. So you're saying ask again later? But yeah, I feel you, Billy. I feel you.
That's horrible. As much as I love the idea of reliving the 80s, there's definitely aspects of it I want no part of.
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was just thinking about that just now. We talk a lot about the podcast time machine and what you'd use it for, but what if the podcast time machine decides to send you back to middle school instead? I don't know. But I mean, maybe knowing now if I knew then what I know now, it would be water off a duck's back. But wow, man, what if you just had to go back and redo it? I mean, talk about hell.
Well, I see when anyone says middle school to me, there's a reason I rarely ever talk about middle school.
Well, technically it was junior high for me.
We called it
anyway. The kids these days, it's middle school.
In Florida it's called middle school, and I think it was 7th grade. It's just damn 7th grade, man. No one's ready for that.
It's rough. It's just rough.
I remember,
kids are animals.
I remember one of the most embarrassing things that ever happened to me in my life happened in 7th grade. I remember it was lunch, and I remember they had steakums. Do you know what steakums are?
Yeah. They're really thin. Supposed to be meat.
Yeah. So they would fry them up and put some American cheese on and stick it on a hot dog bun. Well, I remember having it for lunch that day, and then I was in English class. I remember. I bet if you put me in a state of
put you in hypnosis so we could get through this.
I could probably describe the room, to a T, and I definitely know where my chair was.
What was your teacher's name?
I don't remember.
Oh, man.
I'm not really good with teachers. Remember the teacher that was in charge of the Cougarettes? I can't remember her name either. It was something like Mrs. Colbert or something like that, but I know it's not Colbert. Anyway, at that point in my life, there were so many things I had not experienced, one of which was food sickness.
Oh, no.
But in the middle of class, it suddenly hit me. And I started feeling a little nauseous. I started getting a little sweaty. And then just threw up all over my desk.
Oh, no.
I mean,
like
someone had exploded a gigantic water balloon of vomit. It just like straight out of a Monty Python movie.
Good afternoon, sir, and how are we today? Better.
Better get a bucket. I'm going to throw up.
Gaston, a bucket for monsieur.
Oh my gosh. And then of course, the school gossip network, within 15 seconds the entire school knows Steve blew chunks all over the classroom.
The way I remember it is this. Nobody said a word. It might have actually been silent reading time when I did it. Nobody said a word. But it's just you couldn't have ignored it. It wasn't a little cute pile. I mean,
you couldn't ignore me if you tried.
It was like a bucket, like 2 gallons of industrial waste. And so I raised my hand. I'm like, I have a problem here. I think I just got sick. And still everyone just this look of terror in everyone's face as it starts dripping off the desk onto the floor. And they sent me home.
Thoughtful.
And then the next day we get to class, no, obviously I think we had assigned seating or something like that.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that's
and I
typical.
had there was a brand new desk, or a different desk anyway, waiting for me, and they still had my old desk in a corner, wrapped up in some sort of tarp, it was some sort of monument to folly.
That's not so good. Yeah. I mean, junior high is just tough for everybody. I think I've told this story on the show. Like, I remember talking to my kids at some point, I think when they were in high school. I'm like, you guys seem to do okay in junior high. And my son looks me in the eye and was like, Dad, I didn't have any friends in junior high. Why do you think I ate lunch in the library every day? And I was just like, oh man. But there's and I felt terrible about it. But it's something everybody has to push through,
I think middle school is... The only thing you learn in middle school is how to survive the unsurvivable.
How to survive, and if you're lucky, you find your people.
I didn't until high school, but I mean, the vomiting didn't help. No one really wanted to be my friend after that.
It's helpful.
You know what else would be helpful right now? A switch to the Seggies.
What's happening, hot stuff?
By the sound of the gong, it must be time for Mystery Movie Moment. We will play a snippet of a movie from the 80s. If you get it right, you're into the drawing for some swag. Are we out of bottle openers yet?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh, no. I have a healthy supply.
I
laid in a good stock pre-pandemic.
One of our original podcast producers came by to visit me today. Dave Morrison, a.k.a. the Maestro.
The Maestro.
Longtime fans might remember him. He still lives over in the Tampa Bay area, but he was driving through, and he brought me a belated Christmas present, which was it's the soundtrack to Ferris Bueller, but not just the songs that are in Ferris Bueller, like literally every little snippet of like the coughing on the keyboard is on there.
Oh,
everything.
That makes me laugh every time. I laugh at that.
So that was nice. And I gave him, hence the segue here, I gave him a swag bag full of stuff, including a bottle opener, which he says
Nice.
Over the years, he's always wanted a bottle opener from us and never got one, so he has one now. It's one of the old ones, though. It's the
the
claw.
the aluminum, like the claw ones. Yeah, that's cool. When you say the Maestro, I immediately picture the Bugs Bunny cartoon where he's impersonating a
conductor,
orchestra conductor, and the orchestra's like Leopold.
No, it's
too many cartoons on Saturday mornings, kids.
It was great to catch up with him. And I mean, I thanked him again for all. I mean, if it weren't for him, this thing would never have lasted more than 20 episodes. So, some 588 shows later. Thank you, Maestro.
Mental. Yeah.
In the meantime, here was our movie madness clip from episode 585.
Why don't you quit so we can get us a real coach?
Yep, that's Wildcats.
Oh.
And just about everybody who got it right also wanted to include the clip of the cheerleaders from that movie. So we'll play it here for you now, too.
U-G-L-Y, and you ain't got no alibi. You ugly. What? You ugly. Your mama says you ugly. Hey!
I love it. Anyway.
Look, this movie's terrible. It's the complete formula. And I will watch any section of it anytime I happen to catch any of it on any platform ever.
Yep.
It's so entertaining.
Yep.
Do you think they're going to win the big game? Gee, Steve, I don't know.
We got some winners. I thought we'd have more, but we got some. Why don't you read them, Brad?
Well, podcast moves pretty fast. You got to keep up. The winners this week include Kyle K. in Arkansas, Stony Stitt, Tom Korn in Austria, Brian Davis from the Damn Good Movie Memories podcast, Steve in Halifax, Kevin Serving Wench, Cliff from somewhere north of Detroit, Jackie in Bethesda, Bill Pops Bowers, Shan Nichols, Christine in Philly, Dave Parrott, Brock in North Dakota, and Michelle D. in South Carolina.
Pay attention. Here's this week's mystery clip.
My God, son, where are all the weapons?
The weapons are secured, sir.
If you know it, email us at podcast@sits.com. I don't know why I'm hitting a weird note there.
It's nice. I like it.
I feel a little queasy after telling that story, I got to admit.
It's snappy. Yeah, actually, I do too. It might be the steakums I had for lunch right before we started recording.
I was going to get sushi tonight, but I don't think I can anymore. And tune in a few weeks and find out if you're a winner. The mystical refrain that is named that 80s tune. The original Seggy on Stuck in the 80s. I remember in the day when we started this, it was back when the Maestro was still there. He actually chose the clips.
Oh, interesting. So he was the OG Seggy picker.
Yeah, he picked them and he played them for us live on the show.
Oh, really?
So
funny.
He would try to stump us and the listeners at the same time. such an engineer that he was able to figure out how to pipe music into our ears while we were listening to the show.
Well,
and
you're all in one room. It makes it a lot easier.
No, we were in a different room. But what happened? And then I think at some point, originally we just had the clip. We never actually played the full song after. I don't know. I don't know why I'm walking down memory lane. It's not necessary.
On this show, a nostalgia podcast, we're going to talk about memory lane. Is that okay?
I see your point. Okay, from show 585.
We're not stuck in 2005, Spearsy.
From show 585, here was that mystery clip. That's How to Be a Millionaire by ABC. ABC's going to be on the 2022 80s cruise.
This song, I have been, since you picked this clip, I've been listening to this song nonstop.
Dollars and pounds. Pounds. Dollars and
pounds. Dollars. Pounds. Dollars. I keep sending Steve instant messages. Pounds. Dollars. Stop it, Brad.
I love it. Oh, they're so good and live.
I'm excited to see them again.
I might have to.
Let's really see him again. Let's face it. But
he's great. He's so much fun. He's such a fun guy to talk to. He's such a.
Let's get him on. Let's see if we can get him back on the show.
That'd be nice. It's been like 12
10 years probably.
Yeah, to 12. Yeah. Like he was on the Regeneration tour.
That was the 2009 Regeneration tour.
No, you're right. 2009. I saw him on the. Who knows?
He might have been on 2008 too. For all I know,
he was.
So good.
Anyway,
that gold suit. Damn, I need one of those suits.
I don't think he has that anymore.
I'm getting a gold suit for the next cruise. Oh,
I think he said he lost that. When I interviewed him back in 2008, I think he said he probably has replaced it. But I remember
he probably has a new one.
Yeah, he lost the original one.
Do you have any clothes from the 80s like that, Steve?
Me?
Yeah, like a gold lame suit that you wore to prom or something.
No, the only thing I have from the 80s is my Journey concert shirt from the Escape tour.
Okay, I have my
replica.
Well, that doesn't count.
Yeah, but it's exact replica. I mean,
well, okay, if you say so, Skippy. I have my letter jacket, my band letter jacket. Oh, so cool. And believe it or not, I have part of my high school drum major uniform.
Oh my God.
Katie is always teasing me like, "Oh, you gonna put that on for me sometime?" I'm like, "Oh, hell no! I can't imagine that it would fit on me." I was like, literally skinnier than a 2x4 when I was in high school.
For Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day! Time to strike up the band.
Let's mark time. What do you say? Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Just the hat.
Although I don't have the hat. Actually, I'd kill for the hat. The hat was great. But this Valentine's Day, I think it's going to be, a little more traditional gifts. I've discussed on the podcast before the great St. Valentine's Day massacre of 1999 when my wife was 7 months pregnant and on bed rest and still managed to get me something for Valentine's Day. And I came home not just with a little something, but literally empty-handed.
Ooh.
I am breaking out in a cold sweat just thinking about it. It was not good. I'll never forget the look on her face. Like, talk about things you'll never forget. She's like, "Oh my gosh, I am just a complete turd."
The problem,
there's no two ways around it.
The problem I'm having this year is that I ordered. I mean, these days, everything you buy, you order. I mean, online. I mean, it's not like there's retail establishments that are open anymore. But I ordered like 4 or 5 things, and only one of them has arrived so far. So there's going to be like some sort of IOUs involved here, and
here's a photo of the item.
Yeah,
selected for you.
I never thought about that, but that's a possibility.
Don't pin that shit on me, brother.
I mean, but dinner at a steakhouse for sure, and then I just hope that at least one more thing arrives. I don't even want to say what the things are because I don't know if she'll listen to the show between now and Valentine's Day. I don't want to ruin any surprises. So
yeah, no, I think that's
we'll talk about it later. We had
prudent.
some winners.
Keep your powder dry, as we said.
We had some winners.
Yeah, we did. Wake up, Spearsy, while I read the winners.
Oh my God.
Winners this week include Kyle K. in Arkansas, Stony Stitt, Kevin Pipe Winch, Shan Nichols. A lot of smart people that listen to this show that got both of them. Scott Rubenstein, Terry Down Under, Lynn with 3 N's in Nebraska, Alvin Wilson, Richard the Big Bunny, Derek Rutan in London, Ontario, Lido from Austin, Martin the Irish Evertonian, Maine's Benevolent 80s Overlord, Ron Raymond Jr., Cliff from somewhere north of Detroit, Dave Horn, Stephen Ventura, Dan in Omaha, Donnie Gettle rhymes with Ipswich, Debbie H. from MV, John Ross from Charlotte, North Carolina, Peter in Montreal, Jeff in Minnesota, and Joe Perdue.
So let's spin a wheel. Let's find out who's going to take home they're not going to take home a bottle opener. They're going to magically receive one at their home.
They're going to receive one at their home. They could take it home from their mailbox.
Yes. Ready to spin it?
Yeah, here we go. You want me to spin it?
Yeah, please. Ooh, don't do something bad.
Much anger. Yeah. All that 7th grade angst went into that spin.
I turned 2 shades of pale just recounting that story. Looks like it's going to land on Alvin Wilson. Okay, excellent. You are this week's wiener. Send us your postal address, and we will get something out to you. If you don't get it in the next 6 months, don't blame Brad. Blame the Postal Service.
So. You can blame me. But I'll get it out. I'm a couple behind, but they're going to go out this next week.
Good. In the meantime, pay attention. Here's this week's mystery song. If you know it, email us at podcast@sits.com and tune in a few weeks to find out if you are a winner. There we go. Went kind of dark there. So, I don't know why. I don't know why I do anything these days.
It's just unrequited podcasting.
Oh, God. I swear. My nose is starting to run now thinking about that stupid story. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Told the boys we'd go up to the cabin, and then I caught this cold. I didn't know what to take, and then I remembered, don't ask a cold tablet or nighttime liquid to do Contact's job. Took a Contact, and, well, here we are.
Contact's job, continuous relief. 1 capsule's tiny time pills help relieve sneezing, runny nose, nasal congestion. Up to 12 hours. 1 in the morning, 1 at night. All day and all night relief.
Well, that's Contact's job.
And we're back. I got some tissue, and everything seems to be fine now.
Good.
It is the end of the show, so we have some patrons to thank.
We do. Let me do that right now. Steve, this week, our new patrons are Dave Estel, Mild Bill Monty, Glenn Robinson, Colin Hall, and Debbie Harpt.
Thanks, guys. We really appreciate it. You help us to continue doing the show week after week and cover our expenses. It means the world to us.
It really does.
In the meantime, I'm not kidding. I want your stories.
We need your pain.
We hope you have a great Valentine's Day. Please don't let the darkness of Ducky and Gary, Daphne, get you down.
Yeah.
Because
may your love all be requited and not unrequited.
Because we're with you, hopelessly stuck in the 80s.
Stuck in the 80s is now on Patreon. If you'd like to support the show, go to patreon.com/stuckintheeighties podcast. Special thanks to Check Battery Daily for our theme music, and thanks for listening.